All right, so good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in this world. Today is February 12th, 2020. Today is the first official day of pitchers and catchers reporting for baseball. I know some teams probably reported yesterday, but today is the first official start of spring training. So if you're like me, you live in Kansas City, you're a Royals fan, you're a Chiefs fan, the football season ended last week and the baseball season starts this week, so it's a nice transition. So that's pretty cool, honestly. And the glare is probably such that might be hard to see, but whatever. Just listen. You don't need to look at my ugly mug as I'm chewing on a breath mint, so my might be sounding a little funny here. All right, so let's talk about the Royals. Let's talk about spring training and what we need to do. So yesterday there was a piece published at The Athletic by Alec Lewis, who is a very good writer. I'm contemplating renewing my subscription with The Athletic. I canceled it last year. It's still active because you pay it a year at a time. So I think it'll technically cancel like in June or July, but at least I'm paid up through the year, or at least until whatever that point is. Regardless, I canceled because Rustin Dodd he was just trolling Royals fans, and I had enough of it. I was like, dude, you get bonus points and brownie points for being nice to fans. Not being nice. That's the wrong term, but interacting with fans and not treating this like we're idiots. And the whole conversation was about Rustin Dodd was just a shill for what the Royals were doing with their horrible roster construction last year, with Chris Owings and Billy Hamilton. And somebody said something to the point, I'm paraphrasing here and I'm kind of just half remembering, but somebody said something to the point of Hamilton doesn't need to be on the team, and he basically blasted the fan and it was just being super sarcastic, and which he always was, and telling and like replying like to Jeffrey Flanagan and saying something to the effect of, well, don't you know, Jeff, we're just going to cut all the crappy players and we're going to go out and trade for Mike Trout, Mike Trout's and the Mookie Betts of the world. And I'm just like, dude, knock it off with the hyperbole. I mean, when did you enter Keatsman territory here? And and a lot of people took exception to his attitude about this whole conversation, and I responded to him, and he replied back and said something like, well, if you don't like the content, that I write, put your money where your mouth is and cancel your subscription if you don't want to read it. And I was completely taken aback that this guy who depends upon subscriptions at The Athletic, that was his response. So I called his bluff and I did it. And I took screenshots of it, of me canceling, and I sent it back to him. Of course, I got no response. And then I sent it on to his superiors at The Athletic. I never heard from them, but not long after that, Rustin Dodd was reassigned. So I don't know if I had anything to do with it. Probably not. But anyway, that was my whole beef with The Athletic. But anyway, I do like Alec Lewis. And so Alec Lewis wrote an article yesterday about examining what we think the active roster is going to look like when the Royals break camp. And there's some wiggle room here and there for guys. And look, I can sit here and I can name off the 26 guys, because it's 26 man. It's a 26-man roster now. I can name the 26 guys I think should be on the roster versus what I think will be on the roster, and those are two completely different lists, because who I think should be on the roster is different than who I know will be on the roster. Because I know Dayton Moore, and I know his penchant for not putting young prospects on the opening day roster, unless they suck, and then he would put them on there, like he did back in 2016 with, who was the right fielder that they had out there for like a week and then just never heard from him again. I don't even remember his name, but he was not good. after Alex Rios retired. I can't remember the guy's name. But it's besides the point at this point. So what do I think they're going to do with the roster? The Royals, I was wrong this offseason. I thought the Royals would be very active in like the bargain basement shopping, looking for reclamation projects, which they found a couple. You know, Trevor Rosenthal's a non-roster invitee to camp. So is Greg Holland. Greg Holland's back with the chance to make the team. But other than those two guys, there was not a lot of bargain basement shopping. They did get Michael Franco for a bargain, but he's expected to be the starting third baseman, so I don't really count that. Other than that, there's just not a lot the Royals did this offseason. They picked up one guy in the Rule 5 draft. It was a pitcher from Tampa. I'm blanking on his name, but again, that's why this is off the cuff, right? It's raw and unedited. Anyway, the guy from Tampa they picked up. The guys that analyze over at, I don't know if it was at Baseball Prospectus or there was some Baseball America, one of the sites that was talking about this, and they said that whoever this was, they gave him a 25% chance of actually making the roster. So just similar to what it was last year with Sam McWilliams. He did not have a good spring, and the Royals were just like, well, we're just going to ship you back to the Tampa Bay Rays, because they got that guy from Tampa as well. It doesn't hurt. I mean, take a flyer on in the spring. If he works out, great. If not, no big deal. You don't lose anything. You just get him back. Or if the Royals do like him, but they don't feel like he's ready for the opening day roster, they could find a comparable compensation and send back to Tampa for him and make an official trade. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. The big question, though, is what happens at first base. So let's stick with the offense first. You have Ryan O'Hearn, who has shown in the last 8 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks of the season in both 2018 and 2019, Ryan O'Hearn, I mean, looks like an MVP type player. Looks like a 40 to 50 home run type player. I mean, no joke about it. You know, in 2018, he didn't get a chance to hit, you know, before his call-up. But last year, he started off very, very poorly and led to his demotion. I think part of the reason why he got up such a bad start last year is because the club was just fooling around with the whole Frank Schwindel thing. And just the overall construction at the start of the season last year was so poor that Ned Yost just didn't get enough at-bats for Ryan O'Hearn, or inconsistent at-bats. Mike Matheny, if you read between the lines of what Matheny is talking about going into the 2020 season, I think he wants O'Hearn to win the job outright. You know, they also have Ryan McBroom there as well. But Ryan McBroom, coming over from the Yankees, he's got some decent minor league numbers. He didn't show any power in his little cup, in his limited time, his cup of coffee that he had with the Royals last year. I'm not too concerned about that. This guy has shown power in the minor leagues. I think that will come. How much of it remains to be seen. As you guys know, I've always been a big Ryan O'Hearn fan because of his ability to hit for power the opposite way, not just to pull the ball. I think that's a huge asset, especially playing at a ballpark like Kauffman Stadium. I do hope Ryan O'Hearn wins the battle. Of course, I thought they should have just put O'Hearn at first base last year, put him out there for 162 games, and just see where the chips lie. They didn't do that last year, so they still don't know what they have in him for a full season. They could have figured that out if they'd have just done that last year, but they didn't. They weren't. The microwave generation of fans is just too impatient with that, as is the front office. So, Ryan O'Hearn, I'm pulling for him, but you know I have nothing against Ryan McBroom. If McBroom wins the job, hey, great. Then he'll deserve it. But you know Matheny wants O'Hearn to win the job. After that, everything else kind of seems to be set. With Alex Gordon returning to the Royals, which, again, I did not predict. I predicted that Gordon would retire, so I was wrong there. But that does give the Royals, more length in their lineup. Even though I anticipated him to retire, or I predicted that, I did not see an immediate replacement for him, because there was nobody in the minor leagues that's ready to step up. I know Kyle Isabel and Khalil Lee are invited to camp this year. Brewer Hicklin had the best season of any outfielder in the Royals system last year, but that was only an A-ball. Nick Heath is on the 40-man roster. Nick Heath is a gimmick player, Terrence Score type player. He's never going to hit, so I'm not even counting on him. He shouldn't even be on the 40-man roster. It's time to stop jacking around with these guys that just all they do is run. It's not the way this is not 5 or 6 years ago. It worked in 2014 and 2015 because the Royals took advantage. They took advantage of a gap in baseball where no one was paying attention to advanced defensive metrics, into base running, and to just a shutdown dominant bullpen. And then everyone saw what the Royals did, and they copied it. So kudos to the Royals for trailblazing. Now the Royals need to follow the other trend, which they've started doing, about hitting the ball over the fence, launch, and focus on launch angle. Stop worrying so much about strikeouts. Now, I will say, strikeouts are important, and the Royals should be looking to make more contact. The strikeout is a dead play. You can't have a guy striking out 40% of the time like Brett Phillips. So let's talk about Brett Phillips now. I mentioned the outfield. You've got Gordon in left. They're going to have Hunter Dozier in right because Michael Franco's going to play third, and O'Hearn or McBroom will be at first. So there's your DH. So that, and you've got to play Dozier. Dozier was one of your best hitters last year, probably your best all-around hitter last year, next to Whit Merrifield. So Dozier's going to go to right field, and I think with Rusty Coates being back as a full-time coach, being the outfield coach, that will really work wonders for Dozier as he learns to play at an everyday clip in the major league level in the outfield. He's got a good arm. That's why he's going to play right field. So what do you do at center field? Obviously, Whit Merrifield is going to be there. And that's the plan. And the plan after that is to have Nicky Lopez at second base. Nicky Lopez was not good last year. He hit pretty decently when he first came up, but then he fell off. He was overmatched at the plate. He rates out as a plus defender at second base and decent at shortstop. I think long term he's going to have to stick at second base than shortstop. I don't think he has the arm to play shortstop at the major league level. I mean, he would be fine with it, but second base is going to be a better position for him. So with Nicky Lopez in the lineup, Nicky Lopez is going to have to hit better. You're going to have to get more production on it because Whit Merrifield, as a second baseman, lengthens your lineup by providing that offense from the second base slot, which is typically not the most offensive spot that you're going to look for a bat at. You're looking for good, solid defense up the middle. So if you put Merrifield in center field is a position where, yeah, you want a great defensive center fielder, but you want someone that can swing the bat too. I mean, I'm not going to compare everybody to Mike Trout. Mike Trout's an anomaly. But you think back to the Royals when they had Lorenzo Cain. Is Merrifield that type of player? Yeah, pretty much. Is he going to play the same defense that Lorenzo Cain played? That's to be seen. In my perfect world, I would keep Merrifield at second base. And I would play Brett Phillips in center field every day. That's what I would do. I would not play Bubba Starling there, so let's talk about Bubba Starling. Bubba Starling is on the 40-man roster. With the complete lack of options in the minor leagues for outfielders, Bubba Starling is going to be on the opening day roster. There's just nothing about that. My prediction this offseason was that the Royals were going to non-tender him and take him out to 40-man. They didn't do that, so I was wrong on that one. You can mark that as well. I didn't get everything right. That said, doesn't mean I'm wrong. Bubba Starling, I'm not going to be a hypocrite by saying that he should be off the team, even though when I clamored for his call-up last year. He needed to be called up last year because he deserved it. By the way he was playing in AAA, and by the Royals' complete embarrassment of outfielders at the major league level, with Billy Hamilton and Terrence Gore dropping fly balls every other day. The Royals needed to get somebody up here just for the sake of a different look. And turn that off. It's getting a little toasty in here. They needed a different look for the outfield spots. And Starling had some nice hits. He reminds me of Paulo Orlando with less power. I mean, is that who we need? Is that who we want as our fourth outfielder? Look, I mean, Orlando was fine as the 25th man on the roster when the Royals won the World Series. If you have too many of those guys, well, when on a team that has so many other problems, mostly related to pitching, I don't understand what Bubba Starling is doing on this roster. I think the Royals would be better just to get a younger guy. I mean, Starling's what, 28, 29 now? I mean, he's up there. He's in his late 20s. He's not going to get any better. Now, that said, it doesn't take anything away. The Royals aren't going to win their division this year. At least they're probably not. Him being mostly on the bench and just doing spot starts here, is that going to hurt the Royals? Probably not. But it's not going to... his time has come and gone. He is a failed draft pick. Even though he made the major leagues, he's still a failed draft pick because the Royals... when your first round pick turns into this, that's a problem. You could have had a lot of other guys instead. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. We're about a little over 17 minutes here, and I even got started talking about pitching, but the pitching. So let's go back to that. I started down this whole train, and then I got sidetracked. So let's go back to the Alec Lewis article that he wrote. And, of course, he was talking about the whole roster. And one of the things that I really picked up on was he was talking about starting pitching and how slots 1 through 4 are already accounted for. Maybe this is just me as a glass is half empty kind of guy, and a guy who is... Get this stopped here. And as a guy who is typically a little more, I don't know, pessimistic's the wrong word or right word, but I'm definitely more of a realist. I don't know if I did this. Hang on a second. That's not gonna work. Just pulled into the driveway, so. I don't understand on a roster and on a team that's lost 100 games in back-to-back seasons, how you can say that starting pitchers 1 through 4, with 3 of them being there on both seasons, are going to be are already locked down. So Keller, Junis, and Duffy. Now, those guys have all shown flashes of... Those guys have all shown flashes of... This stupid thing. I'm sorry about this. All these guys have shown flashes that they're going to be... that they could be solid Major League players. And... Well, this is just ridiculous. Just trying to get this stupid... Oh, dang it. What a crappy video. Alright, I'll just hold it up here. all these guys have shown some ability to get guys out and to have some success at the major league level. And so Mike Montgomery is the fourth starter, or whatever order you want to put them in. None of them are that great of pitchers, Keller included. And I like Brad Keller. But why are we already locking down the top 4 spots in the rotation on a team that has lost over 100 games the back-to-back seasons? Every spot in that starting rotation, and the bullpen for that matter, other than Ian Kennedy, who had a nice season, you're not going to get rid of him anyway because of his contract. Every other spot on that roster in the starting rotation in the bullpen should be up for grabs. Look, I said very strongly last year that they should just go ahead and call up Kowar, Lynch, Singer, and Bubic and just throw them out there. Just let them go, because they're going to take their lumps at first. They're going to probably pitch decently at first, because it seems like starting pitchers, they always come up and do pretty well, and then for a couple starts, and then the league adjusts to them, and then they have to readjust to the league. By the time they readjust to the league, the Royals want to start winning at that time. You don't want to have your offense ready to make a push for the postseason and ready to compete when you're throwing out 4 starting pitchers who are all rookies, have no experience. That's a losing formula. That's not going to work. Unless they all turn out to be the Atlanta Braves pitchers of the early 90s, all at the same time. Look, not all these guys are going to succeed. They may all get to the majors and have some success at varying degrees, but to expect all of them to come up and be aces, I think that's far-fetched. That said, I think all 4 of them can be successful, but they've got to be given the opportunity to. And I've been very strongly in saying that 2020, the Royals need to, like Dayton Moore said, get out of the mindset of rebuilding. He has said that. They need to win this year. I'm not saying they need to win the division. They cannot lose 100 games this year. They've got to be above 75 wins. They've got to improve by 20 games. That's a lot of wins to improve from one season to the next. And to make that step, you need to get better talent. Look, sometimes it's all about buying time and, trying to manipulate the arbitration, the free agency period. Look, what they need to do is just get these guys up here. If Brady Singer and Jackson Kowar are better than any other options the Royals have, they should both be in the starting rotation when the Royals break camp at the end of March. And if that's true, and the only reason that the Royals don't want to pull them up is because of service time, then that is stupid. Okay? You got to get out of this. You got to get out of this stupid mentality of protecting your prospects, because real world experience, major league experience, cannot be replicated in the minor leagues. These guys need to come up. They need to pitch. They need to take their lumps now when the expectations are low, when we know we're probably not going to win the division. Are all 4 of them going to be in the rotation? Probably not. Not to start the year. I think there's a better than average shot that one of them will be, though, because that 5th spot is open. There is not a single candidate on this roster other than the prospects who I would really want to see in there. Glenn Sparkman? Are you kidding me? Eric Skoglund? Do these guys really excite you? Come on. No, what the Royals need to do, they need to trim the fat. The Skoglund experiment needs to be done with. Guy tested positive for PEDs. He already sucks. And I'm sorry if his parents are watching or if he sees this someday. Look, nothing personal against you, man, but you're not a major league pitcher, okay? And I can see someone say, well, you're not a major league pitcher. You're just a guy in a car sitting there in your driveway talking about it. You're right. I am. I don't have the God-given ability to throw a baseball like these guys do. And the guys that do have that, some of them are better than others. And Eric Skoglund is not very good at it when compared to major league pitchers. So when he's compared to fatties like me, of course he's better than me. That's not the argument, though. So don't even make that argument. Anyway, we'll get to the bullpen in a different video, but who do I think will be in the rotation? Well, I think those 4 guys I already said will be in the rotation. Yeah, Keller, Junis, Duffy, Montgomery. And honestly, they probably will go with Sparkman as the 5th starter. They probably won't. Just maybe the pessimist side of me. I think Brady Singer is the guy that will be at first. I think he's the most advanced. Bubik is going to be amazing. His curveball changeup combination is fantastic. Lynch is maybe the one who I would say is the progressed the least of the four. But you've also got who's the other guy? There's a fifth guy. I can't think of his name. He's a bigger guy. Jonathan Bolin, I think is his name. He's a big boy. He's like 6'6", 250. I mean, he's a CC Sabathia type size guy. I don't think you'll see him this year, but I want to see the Royals do an honest competition, at the very least for the 5th spot. My opinion, they should do a competition for all 5 spots. Let the 5 best guys go. Now, if that's the case, I guarantee you Montgomery and Duffy won't be in the starting rotation. Junis, Keller should be there. Keller's deserved it. Junis shows flashes. I'm just not sold on Junis. The guy's, he's like Seren Petro says, he's just a guy. He's a jag. He's our organizational fodder. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the first day of spring training. It's going to be interesting to see. We're going to make some more videos as spring training goes on. We'll give some honest feedback, and we'll see what the Royals can do this year. So thanks a lot for watching this video. Have a nice day.